Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and also share with your friends, and also click on the notification bell icon so that any video that I post, you will be the first to get it. Stay with me as we expand our knowledge with videos from all over the internet that's going to reshape your reality. Let's just start.
Bruh, enjoying a rainy day with an inflatable blow-up bed in your car. In a random forest or someone's garden by the look of it. Oh, it's nice though. Open all sunshades.
Right.
2 of them? Take my money. So you can take the headrest off. Well, I think a lot of cars can do that. Oh, hold up. Oh, well, this just got a little bit saucy. What are we doing that for then? That looks like a very convenient angle. A little T. Oh, haha. What are we laughing at? I'm just... Oh, so that inflatable bed, does that come with the car? And then you can blind all the windows. Oh my God, I'd have the best nap of my life. Little bit of Netflix on if you've got a screen in the car. Oh, I can see one. Tesla, eat your heart out. I'd love a Tesla, I'll be honest. Open the rear entertainment.
BYD, right?
There's another screen. Take my money. And what they watch anime as well. But you know what? This is, if I'm gonna leave this world, I wouldn't mind it being in this position with a dog.
Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and say what everybody's been thinking, but is too afraid to say. When it comes to technology, specifically laptops and computers, getting a MacBook is not the way to go. Apple products is not the way to go. As someone who has owned a MacBook, I'm here to tell you, it is overhyped. Overhyped.
What you guys
think?
think
As a student,
about that?
I would not recommend you to buy one.
Yeah, as a student,
And if
no.
someone has, they just have an addiction to Apple. MacBooks are pretty, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to durability and compatibility, no. The web camera isn't even as good as the computer I have now. And I still have both, but I use my Microsoft Surface Book every day. And when I say it stays charged, doesn't overheat, fan is not blowing. I literally love that computer. And I love my MacBook. But when it came to getting things done, no, it's not the computer that I would choose. Now, if you want it just for looks and to be able to FaceTime your friends off of, by all means, go get it. But would I recommend it from a professional standpoint, from a student standpoint? The answer is no. So I have an aunt that does before her service, and she's a pastor.
Oh, really?
She's a pastor, and she does the snow.
That's crazy.
And yeah. And so me and my mom had to go to one of her sermons before. And so we have sit front row because that's where the family sits.
Yeah.
Right? And so me and her does not get along. Like, we never gotten along. Like, she always throws shots at me. Like, shots after shots. Like, it doesn't matter. Right? And so we in the front row, and she's preaching to her congregation. Mind you, her congregation has no idea what she does before her services, okay? No idea, all right? Because if they did, they wouldn't be going. Hello? And so, yeah, so she was preaching on one of her sermons, and she looked at me one time, and then she looked back at her congregation, and she side-eyed me before she said this. She was like, I can feel a demon in here.
Oh,
and I was just like, Mom, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. And I couldn't really say too much because they're the generation that abuse their kids through a motherfucking wall. That's how they are. So I couldn't say nothing.
Go to Genesis. It's called Noah's flood. I'm telling you, they're lying about the flood. They're lying about giants. They're lying about the firmament. They're lying about everything to make the Bible look like nonsense. It is so true, and it is so literally accurate, word for word. It would baffle these fools who don't believe.
Do you believe they're lying about the dinosaurs?
I believe dinosaurs are dragons. The dragons are the same thing. And if you are a Christian and you interpret the Bible literally, you better believe in dinosaurs. You better believe in dragons. You know why Leviathan was created? The most powerful beast that ever walked on this earth, besides God, is a dragon, Leviathan. He named it in the book of Job. God talks about it. God says, I play with Leviathan like a small bird.
Oh.
Leviathan was created to humble men. Leviathan is a dragon, a fire-breathing dragon that God created, and he talks about and names in the book of Job. If you are a Christian and you don't believe in dragons, then you don't believe God, and you're calling God a liar.
That's deep.
The biggest conspiracy theory that I wholeheartedly believe in, and I want to know if you believe in it too, but I truly think that the food companies and the pharmaceutical companies and the politicians are all working together to put a bunch of crap into our foods so that we have to go and get sick care instead of health care and we all remain sick. Like, it's not that hard to not put a bunch of additives and chemicals into our foods. I'm going to France next week, and I typically don't eat processed food, but I'm just going to eat everything over there, and I'm going to see if I still feel how I feel by cutting out all processed foods in the United States. So let's see how this goes.
So y'all, I just learned through the grapevine that a lot of music artists are basically getting signed to these labels, and the labels will give them loans in order to kickstart their career, whatever they agree to, millions, thousands, whatever it is, and then the artist works to pay off that loan. And then also another reality is that people who sign to labels are typically fame hungry as well, money and fame hungry. So the label is paying them in exposure. They're paid in getting that commercial. They're paid in walking on the red carpet or being invited to certain events because they really want to be known that bad. You know what I mean? And then not only this, but also these loans that they're giving, and again, not all artists, but the loans that these artists are given are being, what is it called? Interest is being collected on these loans, y'all. Interest is being collected on these loans. So these artists are basically working and making albums and going on tour to pay these loans back. And I don't know how the music industry works completely, so don't quote me, but like, I understand now. And I used to always wonder, like, what does it mean to sell your soul? What does it mean to sell your soul? It means once your ass sign that label deal so that you can get the fame and the money alongside using your gift is basically now in their control. If you ever decide, I don't want to do music anymore, I don't want to be in this industry anymore because I'm exposed to things that I never thought I would see, guess what? You got a $10 million loan to pay back to these people, and they don't play about their money. They will get you out of here. Oh, you don't want to do music no more? And that's what we hired you for? That's what you signed the label to do? You're about to be out of here. And then also, people don't realize at any time, if you lose your momentum, you're just not popping like that no more, or if you don't want to rap or sing about the same things because when you were 20 you rapped about booty and money and drugs, and now you're 30 and you're like, okay, like something got to change. If you really want to sing or rap about something different, like that's going to affect your sales. That's going to affect how quickly you can pay back these loans. But basically they have you in a lifetime deal ultimately. Like, it's the same way Jay-Z told Rihanna that she's either going to sign that deal or she's going to leave out that building from that window, because literally they will threaten your life, not only your life, but like the people close to you. They will sacrifice the people around you if you think they're a joke. Humiliation rituals, you did something that offended them, you're playing on their top, and they're like, oh, we're going to show you. Humiliate her. She's already, or him or her, they're already stuck in a $10 million, $15 million contract with us because they wanted money and fame so damn bad. Okay, let's show them.
My favorite expression in English is the one that says, never bite the hand of the one that fingers you, something like that. You can't say I give up without saying I'm gay. Don't give up. See this? It's from LC's side. If someone calls you fat, just ignore them. You're bigger than them. If the USA is great again, then why did someone invented a USB? I support LGBT. Let's grow business together.
Yeah, right. Let's grow business
together. I'm happy
together.
Swallow you because you're my best friend. Anyways, we've been making signage for more than 14 years. We bring in the studio this morning one of the gay rights activists, Mr. Shall I call you Mr.? Pepe Julian Onzima. Thank you for coming in. Good morning. Why are you gay? China. And I get 10 bitches every day by selling the signs. Yeah. And they pay for the dinner. People, when they're using Google, is Googling. When they're using Instagram, it's Instagramming. But what about this? Anyways.
Wait, you mean he risked it all just to expose this about Hollywood? And yet no one else is talking about this video? Because Tommy Lister just did something no one else has. Now part of me is scared to even show you guys, knowing that 99% of you won't be able to stomach it, but I have to show you. Tommy was one of those actors in the early 2000s where he completely revolutionized the game, especially because of his role as Debo in the movie Friday. Now since then he hasn't made a lot of movies, but what he did make was this video, exposing the truth of what really happens in Hollywood that they don't actually talk about. But this single leak costed him everything. And the biggest question that everybody's thinking about is that if they're willing to lie to us about this, I mean, what other things are they keeping secret from us that we have no idea about? I mean, just take a look at this.
The most feared man in Hollywood. They don't like me in Hollywood. Why do they not like you? I don't wear dresses. I don't do that gay stuff on TV. They had to get some other black person to do that stuff. I'm talking, that's gutter. But they all confess they love the Lord. But you cannot compromise yourself if you love the Lord. So I play tough guys, but young kids want to be soldiers. Young kids don't want to follow a guy to wear a dress.
Like Asian people, do we all use chopsticks?
Yeah, to pick up food.
Yeah, to pick up food.
Yeah.
Correct. But you don't think they could have made forks?
No. Nah.
So there's actually a whole reasoning for using chopsticks. Because chopsticks, when you use it as a child specifically, it teaches you what? Discipline, because you have to learn it. And what happens to your fingers? It creates like a callus.
Okay.
Using it over and over and over. Imagine every single day. You'll eventually like make a callus and it's easier to use, right?
Yeah.
Check this out. The reason they invented chopsticks was because way back in warfare, the common way to invade a village was bow and arrow.
Yeah.
The goal was the head of the village and the head of like just the emperors. They told all of the villagers like use the chopsticks, use the chopsticks. This is actually training for y'all.
For a thing, the calluses.
Yeah, for bow and arrows. And supposedly it would be so good at doing this and created such a crazy callus that they would be able to pick out arrows in the air.
Okay, I was gonna say that, but I don't want to sound stupid.
Here's the last
Really?
24 hours in geopolitics. French President Emmanuel Macron announced plans to discuss how France's nuclear deterrent could contribute to European security amid concerns over a potential US retreat from NATO and the threat from Russia. EU leaders are meeting in Brussels for an emergency summit to discuss Ukraine's future and European defense, following US President Donald Trump's decision to launch negotiations with Vladimir Putin to end the war. The US has cut off intelligence sharing with Ukraine, freezing the use of key long-range missiles such as HIMARS, and has conditioned the resumption of support on Ukraine, agreeing to peace talks with Russia. US President Donald Trump issued a last warning to Hamas, demanding the immediate release of hostages in Gaza and threatening unspecified consequences while reaffirming full support for Israel. The North American Electric Reliability Corporation warned that restricting electricity and gas trade between the US and Canada in response to new US tariffs could destabilize both nations' energy grids. The Chinese naval fleet led by the Type 055 destroyer Zunyi has nearly completed its circumnavigation of Australia, passing near a strategically significant base in Western Australia, where the US attack submarine USS Minnesota is docked.
Harvard has produced more billionaires than any other U.S. college. A report by Class Central says the average billionaire Harvard alumni has a net worth of $9.65 billion. And its richest former student is Mark Zuckerberg, leading with a net worth of $221 billion, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. Other billionaire alumni from the school include Bill Gates, Michael Bloomberg, and Steve Ballmer. Harvard is one of the nation's most expensive universities, and tuition can set students back by as much as $56,000 a year without aid.
This is a huge red flag for me. All right. It's so crazy.
This is crazy. This lady is coming up with some crazy ideologies.
Strike one. You're a man. Yeah. You're heterosexual. Yeah. I was gonna say, so technically, because my mind was already there.
Now this is Doechii revealing that being a straight man is her biggest red flag when dating. And this is going super mega viral on the other apps and people are talking about it. But I have some opinions on it. First, with context, she's talking about her dating.
Yeah, right.
You feel me? Doechii is outright queer. Or is that the word I'm looking for? She's queer. She's bisexual. She dates women and men. I don't know if I'm using the wrong terms here. Bear with me, my nigga. But yeah, she dates women and men, yada, yada, yada. She talked about it on The Breakfast Club. The Nile is a River is about some dude she was dating, turned out to be a closeted bi, and then she found out, and she doesn't like people who hide who they are and all this type of shit, right? But she's open to all of that kind of shit. But then now she's saying she wouldn't date a straight man. I hate. Listen, this is dating preference, so fine. But I don't like the hate straight men content. I dislike it as much as I hate these red pill content niggas. No funny shit. Maybe that's not what she was doing here, but it does add fuel to that fire for the hate men content creators on that side of town. You understand what I'm saying? I don't like that type of content. I feel like it's corny, it's lazy, and divisive. You feel me? The same way that those men get on those podcasts and say shit like, oh, women need to shut up and go in the kitchen or clean, whatever they be saying on Fresh and Fit podcasts and shit like that. Y'all know exactly what I'm saying. I feel like it's the same thing with the ultra feminist movements where they just say, oh, we outrightly hate all men or hate all straight men. You feel me? Even though I don't think that's what Doechii was intending to do, it does pour gasoline on that fire, and it is received that way, whether you guys want to agree or not. That's why some people are looking at this as one of Doechii's first real big mistakes in the public light. She probably doesn't give a fuck. I'm just telling y'all how things are received by the public. And initially, when I read the caption, it said like Doechii says she hates straight men or some shit like that. And that evoked an immediate response like, wait, Doechii, I fuck with your music. Why are you ostracizing us? You feel me? But then seeing it, she's talking about her dating red flags. And then her friend chimed in like, men! You feel me? And it's all received in a different light. How do y'all feel about this? Till next time I'm out of here, make sure you hit that follow button. Follow my backup account, linked in the caption, linked in the bio. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube. I will be making long-form content there. Till then, I'm out of here. You're shitting me.
Mount Nokogiri, located in Chiba Prefecture, Japan, is the location of an enormous megalithic site believed to be an ancient quarry. The Japanese have aptly named this site Saw Mountain due to the cut marks reminiscent of a saw, and they used it as a stone quarry beginning in the early Edo period, from 1603 to 1868. However, the actual age of the Mount Nokogiriyama quarry remains a mystery. There are many features of the site suggesting a much older and possibly prehistoric origin, hinting at the works of a lost advanced civilization. The theory that Mount Nokogiri could have been an ancient quarry long before the Edo period is fueled by the perfect cuts on the stone, which are remarkably precise.
Yeah, right.
These cuts are exceptionally straight and clean, suggesting the use of advanced tools or techniques that seem out of place for the known historical period of the quarry's operation.
The result of being around that man, Sean Puffy Combs, I don't sleep to this day. I have a problem sleeping till this day. Like, yo, man, I'm here to work, man. I ain't sang in a week. I mean, I'm 13 years old, and I'm telling him, look, you're going to put me in the studio, man. You got Biggie Smalls in there. You got Craig Mack in there. I'm not here to party with you. I don't want to go to the clubs. Matter of fact, I'm too young to even be in here. Why you got me in clubs? We would fight. We would tussle.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
What? That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's
in the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans. Jodeci, Mary J. Blige, they didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time. You know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 a.m. with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem.
Yeah.
I had like,
what
like
a
living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
For everyone who thinks that China is some slum land that is behind the curve in technology, watch this video. Their military supersedes all militaries. Their technology, way above
billions
all
of people.
technology. Let me go over some points of the Chinese military while we're watching this video. Chinese AI DeepSeek wipes off over 1 trillion from US stock market. China has the world's biggest nuclear fusion facility, 50% bigger than the US. Chinese satellite beats Elon Musk's Starlink. They have the second largest lithium reserve that they just uncovered. This is huge. They are testing 6th generation fighter jets. They have the world's largest military command center located in Beijing. They lead in construction and technology advancements. They have an artificial sun that has broke record after record.
Artificial sun?
They lead the world in A-to-A hypersonic missiles. And the Chinese announced a 7.2 increase in their military and defense spending.
In 1984, Richard Branson made a very interesting phone call. He called Boeing. Now, Boeing wasn't an airline in itself. It was a maker of airplanes. So he's on the phone to Boeing and he asks customer service if they have any unused or secondhand planes that he can rent. And they proceed to say no and they hang up on him. He ended up calling them multiple times because he didn't want to take no for an answer. Finally, he gets through to someone who says to him, "I'm going to put you through to someone higher up who can reject you properly." So he speaks to that person and says, "If you've got any planes available, I'd like to rent it off you." And the man on the phone says, "We have one customer in the UK and that is British Airways. You are not our customer." And Richard Branson said, "Okay, if I was British Airways and I called you and I said, do you have any spare planes? How much would it cost me for a month to rent it?" And the man says, hypothetically, if you're going to rent one of our planes, it's going to cost $200,000 to $300,000 a month, plus fuel, plus taxes. Then Branson said, "Well, do you have a spare plane that you're not using?" And the man said, "Well, yes, we do." And ultimately, Richard Branson convinced him to rent one of their planes. And this is why it basically cost him $0. He would need to sell all the seats on the plane and make the revenue before he needed to pay rent. And the fuel charge needed to be paid 30 days after the rent. Now, this system of getting revenue before your expenses need to be paid is used in many businesses. It's a great reminder that we don't need a lot of money to start or scale any business. He started an entire airlines company with $0, a lot of creativity, and the ability to sell. Imagine what you can do in your business with the resources that you have.
This is it. This is where China has us beat. They've made dark factories. This is all over the internet right now.
Dark factories.
They have dark factories that are the future of 24/7 smart manufacturing. They have whipped us in the robotics industry. They have the Internet of Things blended with AI to create a factory where they no longer need human workers. All they need is robots to create other robots, and they can shut the lights off. That's why they're calling them dark factories, yo. They're calling them dark factories because they don't need the power of electricity to keep the lights on. They just need the power to power these things, and these robots can work for hundreds of thousands of hours. What does that mean for you? That means your job might be in jeopardy. That means our jobs might be in jeopardy. There might be all kinds of different industries that's going to be having problems with this. What do you think? Leave your comment in the comment section. We're already at the iRobot section of history.
Robots creating
we'll be at the movie Megan and the movie Subservience, where the AI robots are going to take over and become self-aware. Do you think this is a good idea? Leave your comment in the comment section. Love to hear it. Locked on Universe out. Peace.
Darkest truth hidden from us.
So there's these main glitter manufacturing. It's called GlitterX. And one guy from the New York Times went, and it was like weirdly top secret. He was talking to one of the higher UPSs. There's a shortage. He started talking to him just because he's like, okay, so there's a shortage. What's happening? Who's your bit? Like he's just asking questions. He asked if he can get a tour of the place. The guy says absolutely not. He said, you can't see the glitter being made. He said, You can't even be in a room next to it and hear how it's being made. But he asked the lady who are the biggest buyers. There's one company, she said, that is the biggest buyer of all glitter. And he says, what is it? And she said, I can't tell you that. He then asked, if I looked at it, would I know it's glitter? Talking about the product that they use in this glitter and the main buyer of glitter. And she said, not really. She said they don't want anyone to know that it is glitter.
Underline your signature every time you sign your name. Well, I don't sign my name like that. Yeah, start doing it right away today. Your new signature is your old signature, but with a single underscore. And when I say underscore, I mean it should go underneath your signature. I'm just going to write my name here.
Obviously, the one exception might be legal documents where you have to fit your signature in the box and stuff, and you can't do the signature.
Right.
The underline.
I do it anyway.
Yeah.
I do it outside the box. So let's say this is my signature. My name is Darren. Look at this. So here's the signature, and it is one single underscore left to right underneath the name without cutting through it. One underscore left to right, not touching it, not cutting through it. So when you underline your writing, write your name, then go back to the beginning, underline your signature, a strong, straight stroke. If you want to go slightly up to build in optimism, you can. What does this add? This adds the trait of self-reliance. Self-reliance, listen to this, guys, is the ability to go it alone when you don't get help. Don't you think that's a powerful trait? It's another leadership trait. It's another trait that adds to the high T-bars because these compound on each other.
If you didn't know, there's certain videos circulating around on TikTok talking about elites eating mermaids, and I just want to make this very clear, okay? Mermaids do in fact exist. First of all, you have to understand that certain elites, let's just say, aren't like us underneath their, let's just say, costume. But aside from that, if you have the balls and confidence and a team that just so happens to have some soundproof equipment, as dumb as that may sound, you can actually hunt them in some areas of the ocean.
Oh, really?
The only reason that you don't know about shit like this is because you don't explore areas of the internet outside of just Googling shit, okay? There's certain groups on Telegram, especially on the dark web, and I'm so serious right now, with fishermen that come from certain coastlines, and this can range anywhere from California all the way to Australia. They're literally all over the world. And they'll talk about not only catching them, but post their weight, their size, their length, their colored hair. I mean, there's a lot of shit that goes into this. They even post pictures. They've even posted them on TikTok, but people don't believe that they're real most of the time. And announce out in the open, sometimes announcing that they're actually hunted down by the FBI, CIA, whatever it may be, that they deliver them to people that have a shit ton of fucking money. There's actually some hot spots in the United States. For example, if you go to the very end of Virginia Beach around 3 to 4 a.m., which I still hear stories on a monthly basis of people being taken out into the ocean by them, but regardless, you might see some sketchy ass looking people. Just know that there's a lot of aspects of this reality, including mermaids and cryptids even, that exist, but you just don't know about them. And many of you aren't aware of them simply because your mind isn't open to them actually existing. And you might call me crazy, that's completely fine. There's thousands of other people that know this information as well. I've even had personal experiences with cryptids. I even recorded them on camera a couple years ago. The lot that was across from my house, I actually caught what looked to be a Jinn, or in quotation, the Hat Man that was following me. I've caught the Fae on camera. I have these videos like long down in my TikTok. I'm pretty sure I have a playlist of them. But I mean, even in Colorado, I've had some Skinwalker experiences. I've had a Wendigo experience that was the most terrifying fucking day of my entire life. If you go out to look for it, you will end up eventually fucking finding it. I'm just being completely honest with you right now. You can even ask the natives up in Colorado. They will tell you some crazy ass shit. But as for mermaids, I can tell you where to look and what time to do it.
Americans are still fundamentally naive about the nature of evil. Americans, maybe Westerners more broadly, think evil is someone with a wacky mustache pounding a podium talking in a crazy language. They don't realize evil is that next door neighbor who will be delighted to turn you and your family to the cops simply because it's going to make them feel important. This never enters their head. I wasn't even aware, because when I was doing the white pill and learning about the secret police in these different countries, I had been under the impression that it was things like, I'm captive, KGB takes me, and they're like, hey, you know, you can stay here for 20 years, or you can confess that when you were at Tom's house, you and Tom were plotting to kill Stalin. So what's it going to be? It's like, oh yeah, Mike, he wouldn't shut up. He hates him. And they're like, great, just sign this and you're free. You know what I mean? Like, but what I learned is the Stasi, the East German secret police, there was a woman, Anna Funder, who interviewed her for one of her books, Stasiland. He goes, we didn't even have to pay them. They were tripping over themselves to call us because they wanted to feel important.
Mass surrenders by the Ukrainian military as they're on the verge of collapse today.
Nearly 50,000 Ukrainians have surrendered the past 24 hours as the Russian military pushes through the front lines. 2 days ago, 10,000 Russian troops crawled through an underground oil pipeline to hit the Ukrainians behind the lines. The Russians have been encircling major Ukrainian battalions, and the Kursk region is almost collapsed. The Kursk region, which is the Ukrainian counteroffensive in blue, is fully encircled, as over 100,000 troops are now waiting to surrender. These Ukrainian helmets are being found by the Russians, bearing the same symbols that Germany wore in World War II when invading Russia. What's making this push so successful is the Chechen forces from the Russian, which is a highly aggressive Islamic fighting force that takes no prisoners. So after this 2-year stalemate, Putin sent these guys in and they are wreaking havoc. Pair this with the US cutting off all intel to Ukraine, meaning US satellites are no longer giving Ukrainians exact coordinates of the Russian. Is it time for Zelensky and Ukraine to settle for peace?
The Ukrainian Orthodox
Obviously.
Church has been under the jurisdiction of the Russian Orthodox Church for a little bit more than 1,000 years.
Oh.
In the hierarchy of the Orthodox Church, there is no difference between the Russians and the Ukrainians. So Hillary Clinton, when she was the Secretary of State, asked Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew I of Constantinople if he would declare the Ukrainian Orthodox Church to be what's called autocephalous. It runs itself, no longer subject to the whims of the Russian Patriarch. The Patriarch said, I'm not sure that's a good idea. They've been under Russian jurisdiction for 1,000 years. Politically, I really can't do that. And Hillary allegedly said, would $20 million help make the decision? Well, the Greek Orthodox Church is under the thumb of the Neo-Ottoman Turks. And so he said, yeah, we could use the 20 million. So she said, we have to give it to you through Ukrainian banks. That's fine. So the State Department wires 20 million, probably through USAID. Now, in retrospect,
sounds about right.
They wire the 20 million to some Ukrainian bank. They do whatever it is that they do behind closed doors in Ukrainian banks. And then they send 15 million to the Patriarch. And he says, wait a minute, this is supposed to be 20. Where'd the 5 go? And the State Department said, oh, well, we don't know anything about that. All we know is we paid. So now you have to declare independence for the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, which he did. And it immediately caused a near war situation between the Russian Orthodox Church and the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Even for religious purposes, the entire culture is corrupt. Every level of it is corrupt. So if we're sending 40 billion this time, 8 billion that time, 500 million the next time, another 15 billion the next time, where the heck is that money going?
If you were to design a perfectly attractive woman from an evolutionary basis, what would that woman be like?
The factors that matter for women are different for men because men are fertile throughout their whole lives, and it's so easy to be fertile. You're making 100 million sperm a day or whatever that number is. They're tiny little cells. You can just do it even if you're old and desiccated. Fertility is crazy hard for a woman. You need to be under the age of 40, basically. Once our ancestral females hit 40, they almost never reproduced anymore, and we could talk about why that is. It's an interesting evolutionary solution to a problem. But then during that time, you have to be well fed and you have to be healthy because it's super hard to maintain a pregnancy. That's, 9 months where if you're not getting enough food, it's hard to feed that fetus. So for women, they need fat on their bodies, which was hard in our ancestral world. That meant they're well fed. They need to be healthy and they need to be young. And so when you have those qualities, that's more important than anything else for men because when it comes down to it, living forever is nice, but evolution doesn't care about it if you don't reproduce. Reproduction is the currency of evolution. And so what men are looking for in a partner is somebody who's reproductive, who's fertile.
Everyone needs to know what's happening in Syria right now. More than 1,000 people have been killed in just 2 days, and the vast majority of those being civilians. To make it worse, some estimates put the death toll much higher than 1,000. Other reports say that those civilians were mostly killed execution style, and that this is now among the highest death tolls in Syria for 14 years. So why is this happening? Well, as most will probably remember, late last year, the Assad regime was overthrown after 53 years in power, and it made global headlines. It technically ended their 13-year civil war, and since then, a new leadership has been trying to establish order. However, not everyone is on board. The fighting began again on Thursday after loyalists to the previous Assad regime ambushed security forces of the new Syrian government. But right now, the question is whether the new government can actually stabilize Syria, or if this will turn into yet another long, deadly, drawn-out war.
I'm gonna tell you a little story. Cattle, beef, food. A lot of people don't know anything about where it comes from. So, I owned a restaurant for 10 years. Miraculous. I know. I started it with $30 in the bank, and a month's worth of food stamps. I don't recommend that business model just for all you entrepreneurs. When it comes to your beef, grass-fed, organic, 99% of it is bullshit. I have my restaurant, sourced everything locally in North Carolina. The biggest organic, grass-fed, supposed like best company in Asheville is called Hickory Nut Gap. I went to a party that we catered for one of my cheese purveyors, local goat cheese. Great times. We cooked like 300 ears of corn and we were all on mushrooms. I never bought the Hickory Nut Gap meat because it was 10 times the cost of any other beef. I ran into the owner of this company. He was drunk. Their farm's way up in the mountains, and I've driven by it many times, and there was never any animals out there. A couple goats. I asked him, hey man, where do y'all keep the cows at? Well, we don't have any cows. How do you sell all this meat? He said, there's a loophole in the laws in North Carolina, probably most states, to get certified organic grass-fed cow. It has to eat grass for 6 weeks. So what they do is they buy cattle from like New Mexico, from desert food lots, where they're standing 2 feet deep in their own shit. They're eating like corn powder with fucking antibiotics and all kinds of shit in it. Super unnatural. They're packed in like sardines, dude. I've seen those kind of farms. It's nuts. They buy those cows at auction, super cheap, skinny ass cows, and then they transport them to whatever state. They stick them on grass in a barn with hay for 6 weeks, and technically it's a local, certified, organic, grass-fed cow. That will blow your motherfucking mind. Process that. All your organics and all that's all bullshit. Took me like 3 years to find a legit local farm for my beef at my restaurant. It's a family-owned operation for over 100 years in North Carolina. The best beef I have ever had. Most tender, most flavorful beef. Even the tough cuts like sirloins and the skirt steaks are usually like rubber. It's straight up butter. The owner is a fabulous guy. He would pull up in his refrigerated truck and bring us pigs, all our cuts. A great company. If you're in North Carolina, look them up. Apple Brandy Farms. Took me years to find a farm that was legit in Asheville, North Carolina. Everybody thinks it's all local and organic.
If you want to go viral, you gotta do one of the 7 deadly sins. I talked about how I beat up the ranked #1 amateur in New York, and that video has over 1 million views. Pride. Anybody who's overly full of themselves is gonna blow up. The next one is envy. This guy attempted to expose me by saying I'm not #1 in New York, and then I went on to debunk that rumor and every other rumor. So in effect, this guy went viral for hating on another person. Next one, wrath. Anybody who's a menace to society goes viral. I called out Aaron the plumber. I said he ain't shit, I'll beat him up and all that. It got 500,000 views. Lust. If you see any video where cheeks clapping, bouncing and squeezing, it's going viral, gang. Gluttony. Any mukbang video goes viral. People stuffing themselves with food and chicken and all that goes viral. But notice how when I do a video on positive stuff like this, the only way to defeat lust is by fasting. Traps to avoid in your 20s as a man. Avoid Instagram. Instagram is a thirst trap app. It only hits 43K as opposed to every other video has over 100K. Why is the world like that? We grew up believing that the good will be rewarded and that the wicked will get what they deserve. Think back to Marvel or Star Wars. The good side always wins. In real life, the story seems different. Why do people who manipulate, deceive, or break rules always achieve success? Think back to Elon Musk. He shortcuts his employees and he's on top of the world. Steve Jobs shortcuts his employees and he's on top of the world. Think about Jeff Bezos. I'm not glorifying evil, but I'm pointing out an uncomfortable truth. Bad people seize opportunities, while good people may hesitate and worry about the consequences. The wicked see the world as it is, a competitive arena where survival and victory are the only rules that matter. This gives them an advantage. They don't care what people think. The world isn't built for the honest man to succeed. I used to be a noble, nice guy too, picked on in school, but whenever you stand your ground, all that shit stop, right? So, is it worth being bad? No. Accumulating enemies, betrayals, resentment along the way, it's like building a house on quicksand. It may stand for a moment, but eventually it's all gonna fall. Hollow victories weigh more heavier than a loss. So you could take the traits of a bad person, but don't be bad.
Israel has run American foreign policy in the Middle East for 30 years. We have an Israel lobby. We have a plan for 7 wars in 5 years. They don't explain any of it to the American people. They don't tell anybody, but you can watch step by step. We've had 6 of those 7 wars. The only one that hasn't happened is Iran. And if you watch every day now, the mainstream media is pushing for U.S. war with Iran. Netanyahu's pushing for war with Iran. They're really trying to get this started to make 7 out of 7. And so what happened in Syria last week was the culmination of a long-term effort by Israel to reshape the Middle East in its image. We're going to have greater Israel, and we're just going to bash anybody that doesn't like it. And we're going to do that by bringing down any government that supports the Palestinians.
Yo, watch this video of Donald Trump receiving a mental health diagnosis from some Canadian politician live on TV.
Trump's repeated comments about annexing Canada and his actions reveal a sociopathy that was described in detail in the 2017 book, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump. In it, 27 psychiatrists and mental health professionals made it clear that Trump is a sociopath who poses a threat not just to the U.S., but to the entire world. Some of the assessments of Trump's personality in the book include the following, and mind you, these are assessments made by professionals who work in the area of mental health. Trump is an impulsive, immature, incompetent person who, when in the position of ultimate power, would easily slide into the role of tyrant. His sociopathic characteristics are undeniable and present a profound threat to democracy. He is profoundly an evil man exhibiting malignant narcissism. And if left unchecked, his pathological narcissism could lead to World War III. I would encourage members of the media who haven't looked at this book to please take a look at it and get a real look into the kind of person that Donald Trump is, if you don't know already from the insanity that comes out of his mouth. To our political leaders, I say Canada cannot engage with him as we do with other normal leaders. He has shown himself to be an enemy to Canada, and we have to treat him as a clear and present danger to our country and to our allies. And to the Canadian media, I say, begin telling the story of the fascist sociopath occupying the White House using that language so that Canadians in the world know the very real danger he presents to peace and stability.
Stop being afraid that people knowing your plans is going to ruin them, okay? What God has set in motion for your life cannot be stopped by human interference.
True.
So stop worrying about people knowing what you got going on in your life, thinking that they have the power to ruin it. They do not have no power to ruin nothing that God's creating for you. I just want to encourage you to walk confidently and boldly into the new things you are stepping into, trusting that no one who is aware of what you got going on in your life could ruin it.
True.
If it was sent by God, there is no way that it won't prosper. There is no way that any weapon formed against you will prosper. So trust in the Lord. Bye.
Did you know that there's a really interesting reason why Japanese businesses have a habit of keeping it within the family? And when you take a look at some of the biggest Japanese businesses, many of them are family owned. And this includes companies such as Kikoman, Canon, as well as Toyota. The oldest family owned business in Japan has been passed down for more than 1,300 years. And most Japanese businesses are able to keep it within the family for such a long time simply due to one thing: adult adoptions. In fact, Japan has the highest rates in the world when it comes to adult adoptions. And according to the Japanese model, families would simply adopt someone to run the family business if their biological son or daughter is incapable of doing so. And this is also the case when their biological sons or daughters are uninterested in taking over the business. This has led to one of the craziest figures ever, with Japan having roughly 80,000 adoptions every single year, with 90% of them being adults in their 20s to 30s. And whenever an adult is adopted into a Japanese business family, he or she is expected to take over the family name in exchange for inheritance. And this has been the case with some of the biggest companies in Japan, for example Suzuki. And in the case of Suzuki, the company has adopted 4 son-in-laws in a row in order to continue or run the business. And this is because their actual son and daughters were incapable or uninterested in doing so.
Nobody talks about this, but if a girl makes you chase her, I guarantee you that whatever comes after the chase is not worth it. And it's crazy because a lot of young men never learn this lesson. But you have to understand, if a girl is making you chase her, that is because she doesn't want to be caught. But the crazy thing is, it's not that she doesn't necessarily want to get caught. It's that she doesn't want to get caught by you. You see, there's a difference between a woman playing hard to get and making you chase her. A woman that's playing hard to get is going to let you get her. It may be a little obstacle here and there, but it'll be obvious that she messes with you. A woman that makes you chase her is just curving you non-stop. And you'll see her outside with other dudes, living her best life. There will be no question in your mind whether she wants you or not. And if there is, my boy, go ahead and fall back because the chase is never worth it.
Do not ever let your plants listen to rap music. Just wait until you hear this. You're going to be like, what is going on? And it's shocking. Okay, so this all started with birds. Basically, as it became known, when birds chirp, the frequency and vibration of their chirps. You know how they chirp about an hour or two before sunrise? Their chirps are an alarm clock. The frequencies wake up plants and tell them to get ready for photosynthesis. And this is called sonic bloom. So then people just got a crazy idea and thought, what if we continuously expose plants to frequencies from music, and what would happen? Well, this guy in the 1960s exposed balsam plants to classical music and found that their growth rate increased by 20% compared to a control group, along with a 72% increase in biomass. Then he exposed them to old school classical music and increased their yield 25 to 60% more than the national average. And this is because the frequencies stimulate the plant's transportation of nutrients, proteins, and organelles in their fluids of the plants in the cytoplasm. And yes, birds chirping wakes up plants and helps them grow. I know it's insane. But listen, they did a study in Australia, and basically, obviously plants don't have ears. They have a part of their body, of their plant body, that just captures the sound's vibration. It is a different way of hearing, but it can be considered hearing. But it gets crazy because they don't like all music. The preferable music genres includes classical, jazz, meditation, singing bowls, violins, and symphonic orchestras. And they do not like metal, hard rock, hip hop, and techno, or high-pitched singing. You know, talking to plants is good, or you can just set up a radio playing the preferred music that would yield the growth.
If Trump has you scared about a recession or the stock market crashing, I need you to understand one thing. And if you understand this one thing, I almost fell, y'all. And if you understand this one thing, you're going to make a lot of money. It is simple. Recessions make millionaires. The reason is, it's just that everything is going to be on sale. So as an example, that house that you cannot afford right now is going to be on sale in a few months. And if it is, you can scoop it up on a deal. Or your favorite stocks like Nvidia are going to be on sale. And if they are, you get to go and scoop it up while everyone else is out there panicking. And if you're really smart about all of this, you're making your job easy. You're using AI to help you find all of these deals. And that is exactly why we created Benton. Benton is our investing app that uses AI to help you automatically invest in the best companies in the world. So while people are out there panicking, you are scooping up all of these companies on a discount. So again, please, please, please remember that recessions make millionaires. Your job is to scoop up all of these assets while they are on sale. You don't want to wait until they are, back at 200%. You want to scoop them up while they are getting slaughtered. That's a discount. And discounts for you means you make a lot more money. Hey, don't say I didn't tell you. Peace.
Wouldn't it be crazy if you're a victim of one of the biggest scams in human history? The US dollar is backed by nothing,
obviously.
And you have to buy oil with American money. So the rest of the world is also a victim here, not just Americans. And wouldn't it be crazy that every day you go to work for your money, the Federal Reserve prints more? And that simultaneously means that the money you're working for is worth less as you're working for it. The very idea of the Federal Reserve was concocted in a secret meeting held on Jekyll Island back in November of 1910. And it was just top financiers, bankers. They made this up, not politicians. You see, back then, before, the US dollars could be redeemable for gold. It was backed by gold. That's what that means. And wouldn't it be crazy that in 1933, with the passing of Executive Order 6012, the American government confiscated all the gold? And I guess it'd be kind of crazy if during COVID in March 2020, there were new policies passed. And these new policies made it so that any bank within the Federal Reserve System does not have to keep reserves in their vaults or anywhere. They don't need to have reserves. So they're giving you money they don't have. In the heat of the financial crisis of 2008, it is estimated that every dollar that was in a bank had been loaned 150 times.
Oh.
Furthermore, borrowers, so big companies and rich people, hedge funds, yada yada, real estate probably, The top tier borrowers get access to the freshly printed money before everyone else. So what does that mean? They get it at a lower rate when the money's worth more, and then they will, lend it out. It gets dispersed into, down to the rest of us scum. But that effectively means that by the time you get around to paying these people back, you're paying them back with money that's literally worth less value than it was when you got it. Nothing's changed, just your money is now worth less because of inflation. So it's actually not that crazy for me to sit here and tell you money's not real, but we all need it.
Obviously, of course.
$200,000, $300,000, $400,000 houses. I want to show you what these are made out of. Behind all those bricks, right there, there's this.
This is why when hurricane and all these typhoons happen, the whole place gets scattered. It's crazy.
Moments later.
They obviously see.
Goodness. And another one. And another one.
In the US.
And one more.
Yeah, what's funny but also not funny is how many people comment, just one good strong wind and the house is
Oh
falling
yeah,
over.
of course, that's what I was talking about.
Yep.
And we've come to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this video, you learned something new from this video, and something clicked with you from this video. And if you come to the end, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and also share with your friends, and also click on the notification bell icon so that any video that I post, you will be the first to get it. Adios amigos, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.